There are tears and shock in a St. Louis suburb this morning after a pastor was gunned down while giving his Sunday sermon. CBS News correspondent Dean Reynolds is in Maryville, Illinois, with the very latest. Dean, good morning.
Good morning, Julie. Well, we're learning more this morning about the 27-year-old suspect in this shooting. He was profiled by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch last August in an article about the damaging effects of Lyme disease on the brain.
At a memorial service last night for Pastor Fred Winters, the shock and sorrow were apparent. He was a husband, a father, and the leader of his church for 2 decades.
Saw from heaven.
Hours earlier, Winters had begun a service when worshipers saw a stranger approaching him. After a brief exchange, shots rang out, the first hitting the pastor's Bible.
There was like confetti all over the stage, and they shot his Bible, and it just obliterated it.
3 more shots, and Reverend Winters was dead.
At that time, he pulled the gun jammed. He pulled out a knife and injured himself, and then several people tried to grab him, and 2 of those people were slightly injured by the knife as well.
The St. Louis Post-Dispatch identified the assailant as 27-year-old Terry Joe Sedlacek from nearby Troy, Illinois. He's in serious condition. His motive is unknown. Gun cases and a computer were later removed from the suspect's home, and the car he's believed to have driven was towed away. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Maryville, Illinois.
Joining us from Maryville, Larry Trent, director of the Illinois State Police, and Dee Cobb, who witnessed the tragedy from the front row. Good morning to both of you.
Morning, Julie.
Dee, let me begin with you. Tell us what happened when the gunman came in, and tell us what you did.
I was the backstage monitor, which is something, or backstage manager, which is what we do here at Maryville. I sit backstage and I sort of manage everything that's going on in the sanctuary at the time. And I was at the monitor when I heard the gunshots ring out. And I was sitting at the monitor, and we saw the kind of the spray of what the news has broadcast as confetti, and it actually, in hindsight, we found out that it was the pastor's Bible pages, or the top of the gunshot went through the top of his Bible. And when I looked on the monitor, I could not see our pastor at all, and so it only took just a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds really, to realize that our pastor was not on the stage. So I was sitting there, and then I stood up, and I was like, something's not right. And we at first thought maybe, was there something else planned in the service? And that wasn't the thing. No, we had no notification of that. So I stood up, there was a couple other people behind me, and then I went out from the service and began to, I got to check this out. So I went in there, and then just before that, one of our other ministers crossed in front of the monitor, and he was waving his arms.
Yeah.
And then he went out, and then I went out and checked it out, and as soon as I got into the sanctuary, I looked way over, and then I realized someone was laying there. I did not realize at the time it was our pastor, and then went over there, and then I realized it was, and got to his side, and we started the process of
CPR,
figuring everything out.
Yeah, I understand
CPR,
you were
and initiating everything.
Let me turn to Director Trent. Director Trent, have you heard about these reports that the suspect had Lyme disease?
We have heard those reports, Julie.
And what can you tell me about that?
Well, I'm really not familiar with the physiological effects of Lyme disease, but we have also received that report that he did have that.
In the final moments, can you tell me when this suspect will be charged?
We're hopeful to get him charged sometime today.
Larry Trent, Dee Cobb, we thank you both.